The 5 P's of inventory mastery. How to turn fabric on your shelf to profits in your pockets. My name is Wuraola Ubaka, and I am called your profitable fashion coach. Because if your business is not making money, why are you even in business? Today, we are going to be talking about one of those hidden things that costs us money as fashion designers, as fashion creative, as fashion entrepreneurs. Many times when we talk about the concept of profits, we think that profits is only tied to what your customer buys and you know um the earnings you make from those purchases. But actually, in actual fact, most times your profits are also tied in the inventory that is on your shelf, in the fabrics in your stockroom, in the zippers, in the packaging bags, in the finished goods that you have failed to sell, in your dead stock. Sometimes your profits are also tied there. And so today we're going to be exploring profits through the lens of managing our inventory. We're going to be exploring how managing inventory properly would help you to be able to free up money and help you to be able to see where your profits are actually going to. Now, let's run. Now, why is inventory even important? Why is inventory even important? If we look at the book of Proverbs, in Proverbs 27 verse 23, in Proverbs 27 verse 23, that verse says that be diligent to know the state of your flock. Be diligent to know the state of your flocks. And why is it important to be diligent? Because what you do not track, you cannot profit from. So the question is that if I ask you now, as a fashion creative, as a fashion entrepreneur, how much is sitting down in your stockroom? Do you think you'll be able to answer this question? If I ask you, how much in actual terms, how much in actual monetary terms is sitting down in your stockroom? Can you answer this question? Can you? If as a fashion creative you can't answer this question, then it is a question that you must go back and answer for yourself. Because the truth of the matter is that if you don't know how much you are investing in inventory, it makes it more difficult for you to track your profits. So let's say a customer buys goods worth 1 million naira, and then you turn around and you buy fabrics worth 900,000 or 800,000. And to you, you're like, yeah, I reinvested the money. I reinvested the money. But then you did not consider the turnaround rate of that money and the time it takes you to make that money. And so you find out that you end up tying down your money or even losing money. And that's why mastery of inventory is so important. In the profit circle, which is the PFA Ready-to-Wear Bootcamp, one of the things that I teach profitpreneurs is to be able to master where their money is per time. Is it in finished goods? Is it in raw materials? Is it in packaging bags? Where is your money? And so if you know that you have had problem with being able to track your money, being able to find your money, let's run through today's webinar and then we can see if that can provide you a solution to tracking your money. So now we're going to be discussing about the 5 P's, the 5 P's of mastering your inventory. The 5 P's of mastering your inventory. Hello, Oyin Damola. Welcome to the live. The first P is place. Place. If everything has a place, everything has a profit. If everything has a place, everything has a profit. So, what do I mean by place? There are some of us that when we enter into our stockroom, it's like war is happening. It's like they are fighting World War 100 there. So what happens? is that when you want to now produce, because you cannot deal, your brain cannot conceive all those things in your stockroom. You're just like, you know what? I can't even deal with all that right now. I don't even have the time. I'm just going to go and buy new things so that I don't waste time. So, because everything doesn't have a place, what ends up happening is that you are losing money buying things you have no business buying. Because guess what? Those things are already in your stockroom. And that is why the first P of mastering inventory is place. Everything must have a place. When you think of your fabrics, where are you keeping your organza? Where are you keeping your crepe? Where are you keeping your laces? Where are you keeping your this thing? Then you can even go forward if you have enough space to color code them. So the reds are in one place, the blues, the yellows. So that when you are looking for something, your brain is synchronized and you are able to actually know where what is. Because guess what? If there's confusion in your stockroom, there'll be confusion in your brain. And if there's confusion in your brain, you're not even going to want to put in the mental energy required for you to dig through that inventory and bring out what you need. And so what happens is that you end up buying what you have no business buying, and that's your profit that you made that should be in your bank account, or you should be reinvesting in other things that can grow your money. You're using it to buy what you have no business buying. And that is why you're looking for your profits. That is why some of you are looking for your profits, because you're spending money you have no business spending. So the first P of mastering your inventory is place. Everything should have a place. Fabric should go on shelves or hanging racks. Trims should be in boxes, for instance, that are labeled. Everything should have a place. Just think about it like your pantry or your store, like we call it in Nigerian parlance. Think about it like your pantry in your kitchen. In your pantry, in your kitchen, you don't just scatter things all around. You may have that shelf where you have onions, potatoes, you may have your tomatoes in the fridge, you may have a fruit basket in the fridge that takes your fruits, you have where you keep your yam, you have where you keep your bag of rice. In your freezer, you have one side that has meat, another side that has chicken, another side that has fish. It's the same thing that you should do with your fashion business. Your inventory should be that organized so that when you are approaching production, you're approaching it with clarity. Your brain is not all over the place thinking of, what to do, where to go. Oh, where will I find this one? Oh, what? No, you have clarity because you know where what is, and you are able to actually go there. And there's another thing that clarity does for you. It saves you time. And we all know, if you don't know this song that says, time na money, oh, time na money. Yes, time is money. If you are losing time looking for what is not missing, you are losing money. Because for every hour or every 30 minutes that someone spends looking for a fabric, looking for a trim, looking for that color of zipper, looking for the matching color of thread, that is time they can actually use producing. That's time they can actually use marketing. That's time they can actually use shooting things for Instagram. That is time, and that time is money, and that money is your profit. So when we are talking about profit, sometimes we think about it only in the sense of, oh, someone gave me money, I need to be able to sell. No. Profit, the sales is just one aspect. When you are able to manage your inventory in a way that you know where each thing is, you know the place. Because you know the place, it's going to give your brain clarity, and it's going to help you save time. And that time is going to translate into money. So the first P of mastering inventory is place. Now, the second P of mastering inventory is plan. Profit doesn't come by chance. It comes by planning. Profit. Show me a business that is profitable, and I will show you a CEO with a plan. Nothing good happens by chance. Yes, maybe once in a while people get lucky. But you know what luck is? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So you were ready, and then the opportunity came and you are able to actually capitalize on it. That's what luck is. Luck is preparation plus opportunity. That is what luck is. So guess what? If you don't have a plan for your profits, you most likely are going to lose those profits anyway. And that is why the second P of inventory mastery is plan. The second P of inventory mastery is plan. If we look at Genesis 41, that verse tells us, that chapter tells us the story of Joseph and how after he became prime minister, for those who are not Bible scholars, after Joseph had interpreted the dream to the king, he said, okay, who is better to execute this dream than you, Joseph? Okay, go gather all the grains that we will need for these 7 years of during these 7 years of plenty, so that when we go into our 7 years of famine, we'll have enough food, to feed the whole of Egypt and even the rest of the world. For those who don't know, Egypt actually fed the world during that time of famine. And that's why even Israelites were going to Egypt to go and buy grains. Now, Joseph planned for his grain storage before the famine. It wasn't during famine that he started planning. He planned, what quantity of grains do I need to store to be okay for the population in Egypt during that period of 7 years of famine? And then, how much extra do we have so that if we need to sell to other nations, we are not depleting the resources that we have to feed the people in Egypt? It was planning. If Joseph did not plan and execute that plan properly, if he did not have a clear inventory of what he had, of how much grain he had stored per time, guess what? They would have run out of food in Egypt during that period of famine. They would have run out of food in Egypt. But because he had actually planned his grain storage before the famine, he knew exactly what he had in his stockroom. He knew exactly who it was supposed to feed. He knew exactly what the excess was. He was able to ensure that Egypt was in plenty through the 7 years of famine and had enough to even sell to the world. And that is the importance of inventory. So planning means knowing how much to keep in stock. How many goods should you have in stock per time? Knowing the minimum level for reordering. So if you have a bestseller fabric of black crepe, for instance, you must know how much you should have a minimum. You must know how much you should have, minimum in stock, and how much you should have to reorder. And if everything I'm saying is sounding like gibberish to you, then you need to actually come into the profit circle, because in the profit circle, we actually break down these concepts. Not just break them down, we actually give you implementation strategies so that we go from telling you what it is to telling you what to actually do, how you can actually go about creating an inventory management system for your fashion business so that you can manage your profits more effectively and free up more money for yourself and for your business. So let's move. So you don't have to wait for the famine. So it's not when you, for instance, you know how many yards of, let's say, crepe you need for, okay, transmission failed. Can you see me and can you hear me? Okay. So you know how many yards of crepe you need for a dress, and you know how often that dress is being ordered, but somehow you don't actually pay attention and then you run out. And then instead of getting that crepe from your supplier at a lower rate, because you now have to buy from the local market, you're running helter-skelter, kitty, kitty, kata, kata, spending money on transport for them to go to the market, pay more money for the crepe than you would have gotten if you had bought it from your supplier or you were buying in bulk. And these are all the things that actually eat into your profits. So when you now come around at the end of the day and you're like, I'm not seeing my money, that's where your money went to. Your money went to all the things you had no business doing. That market you had no business going to. That money that you gave them to go to market. That extra 1,000 naira that you paid on top of the crepe. That was your profits that you gave away. And that's why planning is so important. So yes, the second P of inventory mastery is a plan. The first P The first P is place. So you must know where everything is. And then the second P is plan. You must actually have a plan. Nothing does happens by chance. Profits don't come by chance. It comes by planning. Now, the third P of inventory mastery is price. Price. If you do not know the price of the things you have in your stockroom, then you don't know how much of your profit is trapped. You don't know how much of your profit is trapped. So many designers know the cost of sewing a dress. You know the cost that is your labor cost, how much you're paying your tailor, and or how much you're paying for fabric and all that. So you know operational costs, you know production costs, you know labor costs and all that. But do you know the cost of what is on your shelves? Do you know how much worth of unused fabric trims, zippers, nylon, how much, you know what the cost of whatever you have in your store is? So yes, the third P of inventory mastery is price. You must be able to put a price tag on your inventory, because if you don't know what is pursuing you, you will not know how to run. So what putting a price tag on the inventory you have does for you is, number one, it makes you know when you are overshooting your order threshold. So if you know that you have a revolving cost of say 1 million naira, it means that in that your revolving cost of 1 million naira, you can't have 30 to 50%. You can't have more than 30 to 50%, stock in inventory. So the moment you've hit it 50%, you're moving to 55, you're moving to 60, you know that, you know what, I need to actually either use up this fabric, sell off the finished goods. You just know that you need to actually put in more effort to deplete that inventory. Because if you keep stocking up with that inventory that is already there, that's where your money is getting tied down. So you're going to be losing money. You're going to be tying down profits. You're going to be cash trapped. So you just see yourself, you have a shop full of things, but no money in your bank account. And that's not what we want. And that is why you must have a mastery of the worth of inventory you have. So the third P of inventory mastery is price. Once you're able to attach a price to everything, every fabric yardage, every zipper, your brain begins to get a better, a better grasp of just how much money you have stuck in your shop. And you will begin to see your inventory as cash flow, not as clutter. So the next P of inventory mastery is process. Is process. My mentor always says this, and I repeat it every time, even in the profit circle, that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So if you don't have in place the right system, you're going to find yourself making the same mistakes, falling into the same errors all the time because you don't have the right systems. So you need to have a process. System saves you from stress. System saves you from stress. Without process, your inventory becomes chaotic. So you need to have a process. Are you doing monthly stock audits, daily stock audits, weekly stock audits? How do you track your stock? How do you know how much you have per time? How do you track your stock movements? You need to be able to actually have a plan for all these things. Do you have a dead stock strategy? What do you do when you have things that are not moving? When you have fabric that you did one design, but it didn't quite work, so that fabric is just sitting down. What's your strategy for that fabric? Because that's your money right there. Do you have a strategy for finished products? So you made this design and you were like, when you were making it, this is the very dress. When I drop this dress, but guess what? You made 30 copies, you dropped it, nobody bought. Nobody bought. So you're stuck with that inventory, which, by the way, if you're making 30 pieces of anything that nobody is buying, it means you didn't do your homework. And that's why in the profit circle, one thing we teach fashion entrepreneurs is how to actually study who their customer is, even before they get into the business of sewing. Because you have no business sewing something because you saw the next brand sewing it. And they told you that, top and shorts now, they are the in thing. If you just make this type with a deal, everybody will buy. So you now made it. You don't know your customer, and now the thing is sitting down on your rack because you saw another brand selling it, and they were telling you sold out, sold out, sold out. You said you went to go and do it. There's a strategy to things. So if, for instance, you did not follow a strategy when you were producing, and then you now did this, whole collection of finished goods that don't have a market, or that you don't have a market for, what are your plans for that dead stock? How do you plan to move it out? Because if it's just sitting down in your shop, or in your factory, or in your showroom, that's money on the table. Some of my students yesterday told me that, when they have those type of things, they just dash it out. Hey, so you just carry everything, your whole business plus profits and everything, you dash it out. You need to have a plan for how to move out dead stock, and that is a part of your inventory management process. So a simple process saves you from emergency spending. It saves you from hidden leaks, and it saves you from stress. Because consistency is where profit hides. If you're not consistent in your process, you're going to find that, you're losing money. Hello, Smart Speakers by Leslie Grace. Good to see you on this call. So you're going to find yourself losing money. So you need to have a process. So yes, the number 4P of inventory mastery is process. Now the fifth P of inventory mastery is profits. Now, inventory is not about storage. Inventory is about multiplication. It's about multiplication. Because like I say, at the end of the day, all these things that we do as fashion entrepreneurs, okay, we think of a design, we come up with it, we do this, we do launch, soft launch, hard launch, collection, shoots, blah, blah, blah. What's the purpose? The purpose is that we want to make money. We're not in business for decoration. We are in business to make money. And like I always say, if your business is not making money, why are you in business? So the fifth P of inventory mastery is profit. If your business is not making money, there's a problem. So mastering your inventory will help you have organized shelves, a faster workflow, which means that the speed with which you're able to turn out your pieces will be faster. Because it's not when they want to create the black dress from the best-selling collection, they are looking for the crepe, or the crepe now finished, or they are looking for the damask. Oh, this thing, there's no black thread. Overlocking thread is finished. That is where your money is. So if you don't have all those things in place, you are limiting your ability to multiply the money in that inventory. So organized shelves gives you faster workflow, it gives you fewer returns, and it gives you more customer trust. So profit isn't just made at the sewing machine, it is made in the decisions that you make with your stock. How you buy, who you buy from, the quantity you buy, how you're able to manage that quantity so that you're not overbuying or underbuying, how you're able to set your minimum order limit, how you're able to trigger your reordering so that you don't run out. Those are all the places where your profits are hiding. So when you master your inventory, it will ultimately culminate in profits, in the profits that you can actually see, because they are hidden. These are the hidden leaks that make us lose money, right? So profit isn't just made at the sewing machine. It is made in the decisions you make with your stock. When we look at the parable of the talents, I don't know if we know the parable of the talents, but to summarize it, there was a master who was going on a journey, and he had 3 servants, and he gave each servant talents according to the limit of the servant's ability. To one servant he gave 5, to one servant he gave 3, to one servant he gave 1. The one who gave 5 talents multiplied the talents, gave him 10 talents when he came back. The one he gave 3 talents multiplied it and gave him 6 talents when he came back. And the one he gave 1 talent was like, you know what? I don't want anything to happen to this talent. Let me just bury it. And so he buried the talent. And what happened when the master came? He said, you are a wicked and lazy servant. Sometimes we are burying our profits inside our dead stock, inside our inventory that we have not mastered, inside our inventory that we don't even know. There are some of you that the things in your shop, kai. If we enter inside your shop, even you self, shame will catch you. We will see things that you've bought since 19 that you've not used. You don't even have a plan of how to use them again. You don't even, no plan. You just keep buying and buying and buying. So that dead stock, that's your buried profit. That is your talent that you have buried in the ground. That your dead stock. You need to dig it up and actually multiply it. You need to find a way to actually move it out. You need to find a way to move it out. So if you are a wise servant, your job is to multiply everything within your business. And that includes your inventory. That includes your inventory. See, the truth of the matter is that when your inventory is in order, your sales will be in order. Do you know that there are some times that you lose sales because you don't know your inventory? So someone says, oh, do you have this butterfly magazine in blue? You don't know if you have it. If you don't have it, you don't know if you have the fabric to make it. So you just say, no, we don't have it. And then you go to your shop the next day and you see that you have it. That sale, Otilo, it has gone. Simply because you didn't master your inventory. You didn't know what you have. That's how your sale just went. That's your profit right there that you let go of because you did not master your inventory. So inventory mastery is not something that we just, okay, I mean, is it not just to know what's in my shop? No. That can be the difference between 10xing your profits and not 10xing it. That can be the difference. So it is so important. So even if you forget everything you've heard today, just remember the 5 P's of inventory mastery. Your place, so you must know where everything is. Plan, you must plan for your profit, so you must plan for your inventory. What are you stocking up? When are you stocking it? What is your minimum order threshold? When do you need to reorder? Where are you keeping things? What method are you using to actually keep the inventory? How are you tracking things that are going out and coming in? You must master the plan. You must have a plan. You must know the price. What is the price tag on your inventory? What is it worth? All the things that are sitting down on your shelf, what are they worth? How much of your billions is stuck in your inventory? When you're looking for your profit, you need to know where it is. So you must be able to place a price tag on what you have in your store. Process. You must have a mastery of your process. What is your plan for that inventory? In what way are you going to sell it out? If you have dead stock, how are you moving it? If you have a high inventory, how are you actually pushing out that inventory so that you can be able to free up money? How much are you spending on inventory per time? You need to have a process through which your inventory management happens. And the last one is profits, because at the end of the day, when we finish all said and done, we are in business to make money. And sometimes that money is in the money that you should not have spent that you spent, or the money that is just sitting down on your shelf that you have not released because you keep adding up to your inventory and you don't know what is there. So, like I said, when your shelves are in order, your sales will follow suit. So this week, our challenge is simple. Choose 1 P. You don't have to try to do it all because it may not be easy to do it all if you don't find yourself within a system. Choose 1P to start with, even if it's just putting all your trims into label boxes, even if it's just creating somewhere to put your threads so you know what colors you have, even if it's just arranging your fabrics into rows, labeling them, even if it's just creating an inventory management system to know what you have. Pick 1P and start with. Because guess what will happen? You will see that that single act that you do may save you money immediately. I'm not saying tomorrow, it may save you more. You might just finish doing that inventory and that black zip that they had told you, madam, no black zip, we need money to go and buy. You will just see it. We may save you money immediately. So profit is not an utopian idea. Profits are in the little things. They are in the leakages that you block. They are in the things that you do to make sure that you have a clear picture. See, business thrives on clarity. Clarity of every aspect of your system. That's how businesses thrive. And if you want to run a ready-to-wear brand, you have to be thinking like a CEO. What business is going to move forward if you don't have a clear picture of where you're going? So the same thing applies with your inventory. You need to have a clear picture, what you have in your store, what they are worth, what they can be used for, so that at a moment's glance, you are moving. So if you know that that everything I've said this evening is sounding like gibberish to you, then you need to get into the profit circle. The next cohort of the profit circle is actually starting on the 1st of November 2025. The profit circle is a 90-day accountability system where I take you and I hold you by the hand and I show you how to go from being a struggling ready-to-wear brand to a ready-to-wear brand that is moving with clarity, purpose, and profits. So if you have found yourself trying to transition from bespoke to ready to wear, but it's all not making sense, it's sounding like gibberish, it's sounding like every time you try, you do a small collection, nobody buys, you go back, you say, this ready to wear does not even work. That's how they say ready to wear, I've been sewing. Every time I sew, nobody will buy. It's because you've not gone through the right system. Profit obeys systems. Profit obeys systems. Well, if you don't put the right system in place to be able to make profits, you won't make profit. You will just be hearing. And you know what will happen? When people say how much they make in their business, you will think they're lying. You would think it's a lie. You say, all these people on Instagram, that's how they used to come and lie. They will just be lying anyhow. Because your brain cannot even fathom it, because you've not gone through the right process. And that's why accountability and community is so important. In the profit circle, lives are being changed, businesses are being changed, destinies are being changed, mindsets are being shifted, generations are being pulled out of, struggling into thriving businesses. And that's where you really want to be. That is where you really want to be. So ask yourself today, will you keep leaving your profits stuck on your shelf, or will you join us to unlock it? If you know that you would like to book a slot for the next cohort of the bootcamp, the details are actually scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now. And then you can actually send us a DM on at the Profitable Fashionpreneur. I'm going to put it in the description box on Instagram, or on the WhatsApp link that is actually scrolling across the screen right now. So okay, so we can call it a day, so to speak, because guess what? We have dealt with the issue of inventory, we have dealt with the issue of inventory management, and we have dealt with the issue of the 5 Ps. Shout out to my Profit Circle members who are here. I can see quite a lot of you. I'm even wondering, do we have anybody that is not in the Profit Circle here? Please, anytime we are having live webinars, you need to invite people that you know, would benefit from these things. We all have that one friend that has been in business with us, but sometimes you're telling them this and like, All these people, that's how they will just be talking, nothing. But deep down, if you know that, where you're in, the system you're in is changing your life, all you can do is actually sow the seed. And what these live sessions do is that it actually helps you to be able to share with your friends and family so that you can sow these seeds. At the end of the day, the Bible says that Paul planted, Apollos watered, but it was God that gave the increase. So all you can do is plant. So if you tell a friend about it, if you share the link with a friend, that's all you can do. You never know the seed that you sow that will reap a harvest. Imagine being the one who is responsible for someone's business going from struggling to thriving, all because you sent her that link. So every time that we have a Fashionpreneur Friday forum, please feel free to send it, broadcast it far and wide, put it on your social media handles, put it on your WhatsApp status, put it everywhere. Send it to your friends that you know need it, because we need more people becoming profitable. We don't want to be running businesses that they are using to mock us. They'll say, this is your fashion business now that you've been doing for 16 years. Wait, where it carry you go? Every day I'm in business. We don't want that. When I see, women who are in that, or you're married, your husband, every time you're saying my business, so this is your business that you're always struggling. That's why they'll be telling you to close it down, because you're not running the business properly. So nobody can see the profits. We want to create business that shut down the enemies. Businesses that your profits are meeting the enemy at the gates. Those are the kind of businesses we want to create, and those are the kind of fashion entrepreneurs that I want to raise. And so if you know that you know anybody that needs to be in this circle, please invite them for our Friday forums. The Friday forums are the free forums that are, free for everybody, where we share knowledge and, hopefully we're able to inspire one or two people. Like I always say, the PFA is about the lost sheep. It's about that one lost sheep that this forum may be the salvation that you need. It's not about the 100 of people that are getting it right. It's about that one person who is lost, who is confused, who doesn't know what to do. It's about that one person. And that is why it is so important that we share about the work that is going on in the Profitable Fashionpreneur Academy. So, as always, it's been a pleasure facilitating today. I don't know if anybody has any questions. If you have questions, you can drop them in the link. Even though I see a lot of the people here are actually Profit Circle members. Shout out, guys. But if anybody has a quick question, you can drop it in, and I'll take the question. And if there's no question, then I think it is time to actually call it a night, so that you can go TGIF. So that you can go and thank God it's Friday officially. All right. It's always a pleasure being, the lead facilitator. As always, my name is Wuraola Ubaka, and I am called your one and only profitable fashion coach. I am the only coach dedicated to your profits, because if your business is not making money, why are you even in business? Thank you so much for joining us on this session, and see you same time, same station next week. Have a good night, fashionpreneurs. Thank you for coming on the stream.